Hello, everybody. So, my name is LaPretty, and I am the Dominican Voodoo Spiritualist. And today, I'm going to be talking about how the 21 Divisions is not Dominican Santeria. So, I know everybody has been seeing a lot of the TikTok posts about how if I'm Dominican, then I practice Santeria, and then they play like the Apollo music in the background. Or if I'm like half African American and half Dominican, then that means I practice voodoo and Santeria and so on and so forth. So I think I know why people consider the 21 divisions to be Dominican Santeria is because of the saints that you see depicting the different mysterios of the Loas and the 21 divisions. And since there are saints that depict the Orishas in Santeria, I think that's where the term Dominican Santeria comes from. They feel it's like, oh, well, since Santeria is pretty much about the saints and there are saints in the 21 divisions, it must be the same thing or we can categorize it the same. And that is not true because Santeria and 21 Divisions or Dominican Voodoo are two completely different religions and belief systems because Santeria derives from Ifa, which is the African traditional religion that comes from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria. And the 21 Divisions, known as Dominican Voodoo, is voodoo that comes from the Dominican Republic, but the roots of the voodoo that comes from the Dominican Republic goes all the way back to Spain. Now, I will say you do have some Orishas like Ogun and Ilegua and Shango that do go back to voodoo religions or like the voodoo religion that does come from Benin. So you do have some of the Orishas in the Santeria tradition that do have, voodoo roots. But the Orishas are not the same as the Loas or the Masedios. So I'm going to break it down. I'm not going to talk about this too long. I'm just going to do like a short, sweet, however you want to call it. But so the 21 divisions known as Dominican Voodoo is made up of 21 divisions, but it's divided into seven divisions that are divided into three subgroups, which is the white division, black division, and the Indian division. So when you multiply seven times three, you get 21. So that's how the 21 divisions became the 21 divisions because of them already being 21 different divisions, but divided into seven subdivisions and then grouped into three main divisions or three hub divisions, I guess you could say. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all and it's not confusing. So that's pretty much the 21 divisions. Now, the 21 divisions, as far as like the pictures that depict the Mysterios or the Loas and the 21 divisions, those pictures are a mix of Roman Catholic saints and they're a mix of their depictions in voodoo. For example, you have the white division, and the reason why they're called the white division is because they are spirits that have white skin. Because when you think about it, the 21 divisions is divided into the three ethnic groups that make up the Dominican Republic, which is the black, the white, and the Indian. So with the white division, you have, for example, Belial Bocan, Saint Michael, Anais Sapir, Saint Anne, Medresali, Our Lady of Sorrows, and you have Saint Expediti, who we call Papa Gede Limbo. And so they pretty much make up the white division. So I do want to say with the white division, their images in the 21 divisions do not change because when you buy a statue of Papa Legba, which is St. Anthony of Padua, the statue is going to be St. Anthony of Padua. It's not going to be the old man or like the child like Ilegua is, because even in Santeria, Ilegua is depicted as Nino de Atocha or I'll just keep it at Neo de Atocha. So it's not the same. It's like the images in the 21 divisions don't go from being the Roman Catholic spirit to where you call them by their voodoo name, their image changed to like a voodoo depiction. And the 21 divisions is not like that. Whatever picture you see them as in the 21 divisions, that's what they are. So like when it comes to Madresa Lee, Our Lady of Sorrows, her picture is gonna be the same, whether you call her Madresa Lee or Our Lady of Sorrows. When it comes to Saint Anne, her picture is not gonna change if you call her Anaïs Sapien. She has the same picture she has the same picture whether you call her Saint Anne or Anaïs Sapien. The same thing goes for Belier Belcan, Saint Michael. If you call him Belier Belcan, his picture is still going to be the picture of Saint Michael. The same thing goes for Saint Expediti. If you call him Papa Gede Limbo, now I will say Papa Gede Limbo, he is a Gede spirit, and the Gede spirits are and the Gede spirits in Dominican voodoo are cemetery spirits and they are depicted as skeletons. So with Papa Gede Limbo, you will see him dressed up in like a top coat, dressed in black and purple with white, and you will see him depicted as a skeleton when he's called Papa Gede Limbo. So his image does change when you call him Papa Gede Limbo as opposed to Saint Expediti. So that's one example I'll say that I've seen where the images do change based on what you call them. So Saint Expediti, he's the same as Saint Expediti. His picture is the same when you call him Saint Expediti. But when you call him Papa Gede Limbo, you can still use the Saint Expediti picture, but you can also use the skeletal depiction of him because he is a Gede. He's a part of the skeleton, the cemetery spirits. So that is one depiction I want to say that does have a change. Um, Now moving along to the Black division. Now with Santa Martha or Saint Martha, her picture does not change. So if you call her Saint Martha or if you call her Santa Martha, her picture is still going to be the same. But on second thought, you know what? I take that back. Okay, now I'm seeing the depictions and the differences. I guess because I'm talking it through, I see how what I said in the beginning of this video is not necessarily true because sometimes the pictures do change depending on what name. Because Santa Martha's Catholic name is Saint Martha, and she is a white lady with a snake or a dragon twirling around her. But when you call her Santa Martha or Santa Marta la Dominadora, or La Lubana or Filomena Lubana, then she does become the black woman dressed in green and gold with like the long, black curly hair. So her image does change. When you call her Saint Martha, she is, depicted as the saint. And when you call her Santa Marta la Dominadora or Filomena Lubana, then she is the black woman with the long curly hair dressed in the gold and green, corset dress. Now with Azili Dantor, her name I think is like because I believe she's the Black Madonna. That's who she is, and the Madonnas coincide with Mary, and her Catholic name I want to say is like the Czechoslovakia, something like that. I'm finna look it up right quick. Razuli Dantor Catholic name. Okay, so she is called. Let's see something right quick. So she is called Mater Salvatoris, which is mother of the Savior. Santa Barbara Africana, because she does look like the African version of Saint Barbara. Because Saint Barbara, who's white, and then Santeria, Shango is the one that's coincided or synchronized with her. And I want to say that Santa Barbara and Azuli Dantor are similar in some ways because they're both fiery. They both represent lightning and, excitement and passion. And they both have the passionate red color in their makeup and whatnot. And that's pretty much all that I see. And then her other name is the Black Madonna of Sector Showa, who's like the patron saint of Poland. So that's pretty much like her name in the 21 divisions. But as far as her picture, if you call her Mater Salvatoris, or if you call her the Black Madonna of Sechachoa, or if you call her the Santa Barbara Africana, her picture is going to stay the same. It's not going to change. Now, with Santa Barbara Africana, those I've seen in the 21 divisions, I have seen people call her the Santa Barbara Africana or Urzuli Dantor, but I've never heard of anybody in the 21 divisions calling her the Black Madonna of Tekisoa or Mater Salvatoris. But due to the 21 divisions being very Catholic and still being associated with the Catholic Church, I wouldn't be surprised if it is her names are talked about amongst people in the 21 divisions, houses and whatnot. But no matter which of those names you call Azuli Dantor, she's still going to have the same image of her as the, strong black woman with the child who is T. John Petuel with the crown and with the cloak and everything on her. So her image stays the same. Now with Papa Candelo Sedife, he does have a Catholic coincide, and I don't remember. So please don't, hold me up against the wall because I don't know everybody's name in, Roman Catholicism. But Papa Candelo is Papa Candelo. He is a, dark skinned, old, respectable black man who loves his cigars and loves his rum and he loves women too. But he's all about protection and purifying and healing people. But Papa Candelo is Papa Candelo. So when you say Papa Candelo, his picture is his picture, the old, respectable black man. Now, with the Indian division, you have Kaonabo, who is the chief, or like the cacique. He's like the chief, the indigenous chief. And then you have Anakoana, who is like the chiefess, or like the well respected, indigenous woman. And she's similar to Oshun and similar to Anaisa because her and Oshun are both water spirits. They both like fruits and they both bring in a lot of sweetness, a lot of passion, a lot of love, and a lot of um, miracles and a lot of good things. Now, with San Rafael, he does have a voodoo name, and every time I talk to somebody about Saint Raphael in the 21 divisions, I always mess up and or I can't remember his name. So let me look it up so I can appear to well not appear. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna be no fake or no phony. But I want to be knowledgeable in this video and have my facts straight. Okay, so bam. He is called in the 21 divisions. Okay, found it. His name is Tenjo Alagwe. His name in the 21 divisions is Tenjo Alagwe. And the thing is with him is that since he is an Indian spirit, he has to be kept in water. He cannot survive, he cannot thrive if you do not keep him in water. And when he breathes in very strong and very husky, like kind of like a horse in a way. But a lot of people go to him for healing. A lot of people go to him for like positive changes, renewal, and just rejuvenation, pretty much. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense for these people to be associated with the Indian spirits because the indigenous, they were known for being, very protective and loving and very wise and caring and comforting. But they could be warlike, if they had to. So that's T is Tenjo Alagwe. So that is San Raphael's voodoo name. Now his picture in the 21 divisions, whether you call him Tenjo Alagwe, it stays the same as that of Saint Raphael. But Ana Koana, she has her indigenous image. Kyle Noble has his indigenous image. So those are their images, and that's who they are. Now, we do have in the 21 divisions, we do have other mysterios that are, well, I won't say mysterios. We do have other spirits that we recognize as a part of the 21 divisions family, but they may not be depicted in like the grand family of the 21 divisions because you have Divino Nino, who are called Sweet Baby Jesus, then you have the Miraculous Mother, then you have, there's another one that I forgot. You have, I cannot think of her name. I know who she is, but I cannot think of her name, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't want to say it wrong or be wrong. But there are other saints and other spirits that we recognize in the 21 divisions that they don't make up the grand family picture of the 21 divisions. But Shango is recognized in the 21 divisions, but we don't depict him as a black man in the 21 divisions. He is depicted as Santa Barbara or Saint Barbara. So whenever you see anybody in the 21 divisions depicting Shango, it's going to be of his Catholic form, which is Saint Barbara, Santa Barbara. Now we'll still give her like the red sodas, the red wine, and the apples and whatnot, which is the same thing that Shango likes, the black one. But with Santa Barbara and the 21 divisions, Shango is just depicted as Santa Barbara, the white Catholic saint lady. Now, that's pretty much the Dominican voodoo and the 21 divisions. So when we move along to Santeria or Santeria, that's a whole nother ball game. So Santeria originated in Cuba, and it is an Afro-Cuban religion, and it's not the oldest Afro-Cuban religion because Paula Mayombe arrived on the island way before Santeria did. So it's not the oldest. Paula, I believe, is the oldest, and then Santeria, I want to say, is like the second oldest. So Santeria did start out as a black spirited religion, which means you had the Orishas celebrated in their original form. Like Oshun was Oshun, Shango was Shango, Ilegwa was Ilegwa, Yemaya was Yemaya, and Agayu and Orisha Oko, and Ibejis, they were the Ibejis, and so on and so forth. So they were black. But as time went on, when the slave masters or the conquistadors in Cuba saw how progressive the slaves were, they started to, make them become Catholic or they reinforced Catholicism. So what the slaves did, they turned it around and said, okay, we're going to protect and guard our religion by depicting them as Catholic saints, which is why Santa Barbara is Shango, which is why Our Lady of Charity is Oshun, and which is why Our Lady of Candelaria is Oya. But Santeria, the 21 divisions are not the same thing. Now, I will say the slaves, they depicted the saints as the Orishas to cover themselves. But I did a video on this about the difference between like Our Lady of Charity and Oshun. Like the slaves, they did what they had to do back then. But I feel like now, since we don't have to live like that, we can celebrate the Orishas in their original image. But I don't see how they were able to do well. It amazes me how they were able to do that because, like I said, in my experience, when I serve Oshun, I serve her in her original form, and I get results from serving her in the original form. But if I go to her Catholic form and call her Our Lady of Charity, I get a whole nother set of results. And I'm not sure if other people get that either, because the thing is, I've never really like went to the Catholic saints in place of the Orishas like the slaves did, because I just don't feel the need to do that. It's like they had to preserve it, but it's like now we're not slaves, so we can, serve in the original way. But but that's just something that I've gotten. But yeah, a lot of people say the 21 divisions is Dominican Santeria, and I can see why they would say that, but don't get it twisted. Like Santeria and the 21 divisions are not the same religions, and they're not the same systems. Because even the initiations in the 21 divisions and the Santeria are different. Yes, we do wear necklaces, beaded necklaces in the 21 divisions, but they represent the different well, I mean, the legates and Santeria, they represent the different orishas, so there's similarities with that. Because I know the Indian spirits have beaded necklaces in the 21 divisions, so there's similarities in that. And you can be a high priest or a high priestess in the 21 divisions, just like Santeria. But in the 21 divisions, when you receive your refresco, you're a servidora. When you have multiple initiations after that, you're a caballo, which is a horse. Then several initiations after that, you are a uh, brujo or bruja or a papa brujo or a mama bruja, or you're a mambo or hugan. And everybody's initiations are different with those titles depending on the house you initiate in. But in Santeria, you get your legates, you get your warriors, you get your hand of Ifa, and then you get crowned. But one thing that's kind of new and different to me is like with the legates, okay, so everybody knows who watches my channel. I have legates. And to me, it just seems like as more time goes on, stuff just be changing in the rules and stuff like that. I don't understand it. But one thing I will say is that when I got started in this religion, Santeria, so just so y'all know, I'm not some random person on the internet running my mouth about something I don't know, because I do, because I'm initiated in both the 21 divisions and Santeria. And when I first got started in Santeria, to get your leques, that had to be a ceremony, and it wasn't the crowning ceremony. Like I learned that there was a ceremony that you had to have, and I could tell you how it goes. When you come into this ceremony, you are cleansed. You have to come in a set of old clothes. You have your head washed and your body washed, and after your head and body is cleansed, you have to put on a new attire because you've awoken into a new body. And then once the eleges are fed to the orishas that they represent, they're placed on you. And that's how you receive your eleges. And so that's what I learned. And then after that, you have your hand of Ifa, which is a 3-day ceremony, and then your warriors. Well, some people. The thing is, you could get your warriors either separately, or you could get your warriors with your hand of Ifa. But if you do it with the hand of Ifa, it's more expensive. I had mine separately. But you get your warriors. That's a 1-day ceremony. It takes a few hours. And then the hand of Ifa ceremony is 3 days. And that's how I learned, and I was right in how I learned. Because I remember when I was talking to this EI, and an EI is an Iyani file, which is a high priestess in Ifa, and she said that that's how you get your eleges, is in an elege ceremony. But now, especially on TikTok, they're saying like you can't have all 5 of the leggings because I have 6. And the reason why I have 6 is because Obanani used to be my mom when I first got started. And if y'all don't know, your Orisha parents can change. So when I first got started, Obanani was my mom, and she wanted me to have her Ileke, so I have hers. And then as time went on, they called for me to have all 5 of them. And so now I have those 5 and then the 6. But now people saying on TikTok, oh, you can't have all 5 eleges unless you're crowned. You got to be crowned to have all 5. And I did see something that said that when you are crowned, you do receive all 5 of the orishas. And I mean, it makes sense because I'm going to be honest with you. Anytime I've seen Anybody with all five of the electors on has been a priest or a priestess. But like I said, when I learned, and I wasn't wrong when I learned, because I learned from priests and priestesses, and that's how they did it. If one Orisha wanted you to have one, it got consecrated and blessed and fed, and you got it. But if it was time for you to have all five, you had to have an eleke ceremony. But people on TikTok just like switching stuff around, and I'm like, why is it that every 3 or 4 or 5 years stuff is just changing? But I'm not wrong because, like I said, the way I got my eleges is right. People can say whatever they want to say about me and my eleges and how, by me not being crowned or whatever, I shouldn't have them. My eleges have done wonders for me. My eleges have saved me from hurt, harm, abuse, and danger. And my eleges has even, like, reversed the evil eye. So if my eleges was able to do all that stuff for me and everything like that, then I'm not in the wrong with anything. But and then when you get crowned in Santeria or make Santo, it's a 7 to 8 day ceremony. Then you have to wear white for a whole year, and that's when you become an Iyawo. And the Iyawo is the bride of the Orisha. And then after that, you have the Peinaldo ceremony, which is like the sacred knife. This is a knife you use when you sacrifice animals in ceremonies and in workings. And then after that, you're crowned. You're a Santero or Santera, or a high priest or high priestess in Santeria. So that's how that goes. And so since these two systems initiations are different, the origins are different and whatnot, they're not the same. Like, yeah, they incorporate the Catholic saints, and yeah, they have spiritual beaded necklaces, but they're not the same. And a lot of times people fail to forget, and with Caribbean culture, anything Caribbean, a lot of stuff is blended and it's mixed. So it's a given that people would think, oh, this is Santeria, but the Dominican version, and it's a Santeria, but that's the Cuban version, because the Caribbean is a big melting pot. A lot of people do mix stuff, and you do have the religion known as Sanse that is a melting pot of Haitian voodoo, 21 divisions, and you got the Sanse version of the 21 divisions and the Orisha, so it's a lot. But Santeria and the 21 divisions, they are not the same. The country of origins are different. The origins are different. Yes, they do incorporate the Catholic saints, but they're not venerated the same. And one thing I will say is that in the 21 divisions, you do have the Catholic saints that do depict the mysterios, but when you serve the Catholic saint in their Catholicness, they require way different offerings and way different drinks and prayers and other stuff than the voodoo versions of them would require and ask for. And see, and some people don't know that. Like I said, you would really have to be an expert or really know what you're doing in order for you to know how to depict a voodoo spirit in its Catholic form with the voodoo offerings and whatnot and still make it work. Because people who are really in tune and in touch, with spirituality, they have that gift of blending it and just making it work. So I hope you guys feel enlightened. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave positive comments in the comment section. And have a good day.